Hi, this is Stephen Rothberg. I am the founder of College Recruiter Job Search Site. We believe that every student and recent graduate deserves a great career and that it should be easy and inexpensive for employers to hire them. Welcome to the 12th episode, edition, get together, whatever you want to call it, of the Job Board Leaders Roundtable calls. We've been doing these about once a month. My sort of partner in crime, Matt Farah, who's on the call from nurses.co.uk, kind of deserves the credit for kicking this off. And then maybe I get the blame for picking up the baton and running with it. Um, but these meetings are they're free. They're open to anybody in the job board industry, recruitment marketplaces, or those that are kind of around us. So we have a few talent acquisition people that join, people from RPOs, ad agencies, etc., and that's great. But these are designed to have a different topic each month, and then we get together to just kind of share tips, tricks. It's all been very collaborative and really friendly. The next we do these every second Thursday, and at the same time, it's 11 a.m. U.S. Central. That is most of the time of the year. That's 4 p.m. In the UK, 5 p.m. in much of the EU, not all of it. So definitely let me know if anybody would like an invite, whether it's you, whether it's a colleague, whatever. Just shoot me an email, Stephen at collegerecruiter.com. Also, a big thanks to Louise Grant and Louise Triance from Job Boards Connect. They have been the sponsor of these for most of the time. And Louise Grant, if maybe I can call on you to tell people a little bit about Job Boards Connect, the Slack group, the conferences that you guys host, etc.
Thanks, Stephen. Welcome, everybody. I'm very sorry my video is not working today. Technology, hey. But nice to see you all, see a few familiar faces and some of you I don't know. Those of you that don't know anything about Job Boards Connect, we run a community for job boards, small, large, the suppliers, across the world. So anybody can join. We have a Slack group that's available. I know some of you are already in the Slack group and participate actively. And then we have our conference coming up in October in London. So I know the guys from Jobico will be there and Matt's coming along. So it'd be nice to see some familiar faces. And if anybody wants any information, you can email me at louiseg@jobboardsconnect.com.
What's the date of the conference, Louise? It's October what?
It's the 16th of October.
Okay. And it's near Marble Arch. Am I right about that?
Yeah, it's St. Paul's. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. And I've been to a bunch of them. They're really great. Um, Somewhat similar to these get-togethers and the Slack group. It's definitely mostly about the conversations, right? They're definitely presentations, but it's not the kind of conference that you go to, sit in a chair, don't talk, and go and leave 2 days later. It is a very interactive, collaborative get-together. Very easy to meet people, talk with them, etc. Um, so, well, today we wanted to talk. The topic for the conversation today is social media, and I think it'd be good to talk about not just, is it a threat or how do we use it or whatever, but kind of all encompassing. Um, and Matt, maybe I can call on you to kind of break the ice from nurses.co.uk. How how do you guys look at social media sites? Are they more of a threat, more of an opportunity, some of both?
I don't see them as a threat, not now. I definitely see them as an opportunity, and for us, I think it's an untapped opportunity. So I'd say we've definitely dabbled and tried a few different things. We used an agency a few years ago. I just tried to outsource the whole sort of thinking about it and thought, oh well, we've got to be on Facebook, so I'll pay this agency some money and they can take care of it. And you've got to be more involved than that. Basically, they just went on a on a mission to get followers and likes. And it achieved that. But then, you've got to do something with that audience and give them something. So that's just a tiny part of the strategy. I think the key to the strategy needs to be, are we going to be just informational? So we just share good quality content on there and hope it builds our brand. Or are we going to be transactional, i.e. we want to get people from social media back to our job board applying for jobs? And I think what I'd like to do when I have time in the future, and I was just talking about it today, actually, again, is to see how we can do both of those things. Informational, e.g. build the brand, and transactional, i.e. help our customers get more decent applications for their jobs. So I think, what we'll probably end up talking about today is where we feel social media is good as a job board platform, recruit marketing platform. That might be, it's a way to reach passive candidates, or it might be a way to reach hard to fill, to help clients who have hard to fill roles, because it's really good on hyper-local stuff. And maybe we'll end up talking about, how we share decent, high quality content on social media. So yeah.
Cool. And if I'll share something from college recruiters' perspective on that last bit, and then Thibaut, you're up next, because I know Jobico has a whole product about this, and none of this is like paid advertising or anything like that, but I know that you're going to have some really interesting stuff to share. So one of the things that we've been doing for probably 2 years now is videos like this, like these webcasts, bi-weekly podcasts, and we use software called Restream. There are other ones that are somewhat like that. I can't remember the name of it, something like StreamYard or something like that, that other people use. And we'll record the podcasts and then upload those through that software to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Um, the engagement on Facebook rounds off to zero. Now, maybe that's just the content we're sharing, maybe it's what we're doing, but we see almost nobody on Facebook engaging with that. Um, YouTube's okay, but we get a really good response from LinkedIn in terms of like the number of people who are looking at the content, watching the videos, commenting, reposting, and leads that it generates from customers. So people who aren't leveraging the video on LinkedIn, big opportunity. Thibaut, do you mind if I call on you to kind of share Jobico's product, because I think it's really interesting. It's not necessarily that people need to use yours, but I think it's a really good roadmap for sort of what's working.
Yeah, thanks for passing it on to me, Stephen. And yeah, I mean, we do have that product available at Jobico, and it's called Jobico App. And
Air, yeah.
effectively, it takes out all of that guesswork for you in terms of. I mean, Stephen, you just mentioned that you use Facebook to reshare some videos, and you're not getting results. It's like, how do you know which channel is going to be the best result? And it's one of those things that what we help to do is we help to take out some of that guesswork for you. So why should you rely just on one channel when there's a plurality of different ones available? I always like call this, if we came out of recruitment, I think that we're sometimes so focused on our market, but if you think about, I don't know, investing or something like that, the common wisdom has always been to have a well diversified portfolio. And like, what can you do? Like, why not just put that across a plurality of different channels all in one go, very simply? And the technology is there, and we can definitely do that. So we work with a long list of different aggregators, a long list of social media sites. We can automate display ads, we can automate reels, and we can also work along the whole PMAX element. So that's Google Ads and Google Display Networks. I think it's something that's also very difficult in marketing as well, is that ROI element. So I think Matt's also explained it quite well in terms of his strategy of what he wants to do at nurses. It's like what are you doing in terms of that top of the funnel brand awareness, things that don't have an immediate ROI. You can plug away 3 years building a brand, but it's still costly, of course it is. And versus that immediate effect, like we need to pay performance today. We need to bring candidates into the site and applying for jobs today. So we can also help you with juggling both at the same time. So yeah, it's a really comprehensive marketing tool.
So I'm glad you kind of ended the way you did, because what I wanted to ask you too was it was is Jobico Air and products like it, is it primarily to reach new potential employer customers, advertisers, or is it more on the candidate side, or both? Because most of us in the job board world, we're in a double-sided marketplace, right? We have to I think a lot of us talk about candidates as customers, even if we're not charging them money, and also the employers, and you have to balance both interests. So does AIR reach both audiences, or is it mostly just on the candidate side?
It's mostly on the candidate side. It's
Okay.
mostly on the candidate side. So what we do is that we take a job and we classify that job, and we look at the job and then we push it out to different channels that they would be interested in. So if you've got a job in finance that's based up in Newcastle, that's a junior role, we're not going to be spending any advertising on someone in social care in Liverpool, etc. Like that's mid level or C level. It just wouldn't make any sense, because that's not really the audience that you're going after. But then there's not to say that you can't do employer branding campaigns. That's also entirely possible as well. So the way in which you present your brand for the longer term is also possible.
Cool. Yeah, Matt, thanks.
Thibaut, I was wondering if it's worth explaining the difference between the types of social media job marketing. So, and I've got a little bit of insight because we've chatted before, always on versus specific jobs, because that's something that I'm going to be looking at in the future. Do you want to just sort
Yeah,
of define those two?
yeah, for sure. I mean, the way that we see it is that it's like what can you do on your job inventory to do, if you did want to do some paid performance advertising, what can you do? And ultimately, as everyone knows, like you need a perfect blend. So you need to also think about what you can do in terms of SEO, like non-paid advertising, making sure that you're showing up in the right places. That's the first strategy, and that's like really key to job boards. But then what we can think about is, well, what can we do to just guarantee performance? Like ultimately, people are coming to the job board because they're having a hard time to recruit, and they don't know how best to position their brand. They don't know how to get in front of those candidates. So what we can do is that we can just put budget across all the jobs in one go, ensuring that they're going out, and that there's some driving some performance to each and every one of those jobs. Or what you can do, and some of our clients do this as well, is that they just add it in as part of packages. So they make sure that it's a boosted model, making sure that when they go in, they're buying a single job posting, but part of that media spend is being used to push out to other channels as well, like a boosted model. So all the jobs across the campaign, or just individually boosting them, making sure that they're getting some of that traffic to them.
So that gives us an upsell opportunity also. Like the job board might choose to just say, you know what, I'm gonna pay that cost, whether it's with through Jobico or directly with LinkedIn or Facebook, to support traffic to that posting, to that employer. Or they might say, hey, for, you know, X dollars, pounds, euros, whatever, you're gonna get your postings. And for an additional Y, we're also going to socially share that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Mike, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I did. So we've been doing social media for a long time. I kind of, for us, figured out it takes about maybe 25 to 30 minutes a day, right? We choose specific jobs from, employers that we call them featured employers. We post a couple of each one, goes to LinkedIn, Facebook, and X, right? And what we do is figured out that you could on an Android tablet or an Android phone. It doesn't work on Apple, right? And we use Hootsuite. You could use Buffer or you can use some other things like that. But Hootsuite, and you pick your channels that you want it to go to. You go to your page, your job, your job listing. You click on the ellipses up in the right, comes down, share. The Hootsuite symbol's there. You click on it, page comes up, and then you just click and then it's gone. And it literally takes 10 seconds for that particular job. So like in 20, 25 minutes, we put up about 30 jobs a day. We get at the end of the month, we get about 5,000 impressions on LinkedIn with about 700, 750 clicks. And then we get, I mean, it tapers off. Um, X, we don't get much. Facebook, we don't get much, but we average about 1,000 clicks a month from that. And that they're targeted clicks. So
Are you
like,
putting budget behind that, Mike?
no, it's just I do it
Organic.
actually. I do it. It takes me 20 minutes a day.
And do you post to, say it's LinkedIn, do you post to your own personal account or do you post to your company page?
I post to the company page and then I post to people who follow us and then I post to a group. So
And when you're on LinkedIn, are you connecting with people who would tend to be in your audience?
yes, yes.
Okay.
I mean, it takes time to set all that up, right? But
Mm.
I mean, like it's down to a science. Like I said, 20, 25 minutes a day. And it gives a return, but it's a branding thing besides focusing on particular jobs for particular employers.
Have you
People
been
just see
tempted to put budget behind it and sponsor them as well?
you could boost each one of them if you want. I just don't charge. I mean, like it's just something that we do, and it's more,
Mm.
started out as a branding thing, but
Mm.
we're also getting clicks from it. We could monetize it. I just haven't done that. Um, just because I don't know, I just haven't had the time. But it's
That's really
something
interesting. Yeah.
for
Are you
that
doing
for that
other,
period of time.
are you doing other platforms too, or just LinkedIn?
Well, it goes to
You said
LinkedIn,
X.
Facebook, and X.
Okay.
Yeah. And so like something like Hootsuite, you can put I don't know how many channels you could put like 9, 10 channels up there. So if you want them all, but just haven't like explored those channels because these three are the main ones, right? So, and it just goes out to them. And I
Where,
have we created a page on Facebook um specifically for what we do. We have a company page and then we have a page called Disabled Person slash Disabled Jobs. And we have, we've built up a following there of like 3 or 4 thousand people who look for jobs every day. So the jobs go on that page directly from Hootsuite. I don't have to do it manually. It's just like boom, boom. And then, yeah, we get visibility. But you
where
can't
do
do
you
it on an Apple, on iOS. It has to be Android.
where do you see the best performance out of Facebook, X, LinkedIn?
LinkedIn for sure. Yeah, LinkedIn for sure.
Mm.
But it takes you no extra time, right? Once you're posting to LinkedIn, to also post to X and Facebook,
The same thing. It
it's
goes
because
through
it's literally the same post and it's like send and it does all three of them at the same
and it does
time.
all, and it'll do up to like, and I'm not selling Hootsuite here. I have nothing to do with them other than, we use a
But
service.
your affiliate link is what? Just kidding.
Yeah, no, I don't have one. But it seems it works, especially I think for a small board or something like that. You could spend a half hour a day, doing something like that and building brand over time.
Mike, do you tag the employer when you share them?
No,
So
I just
do the
so
employers do you hear from your employer clients that they're seeing these posts?
yes, because
Because
what
I
we
gotta
do,
think that like I've called that like throwing candy. It's like It's something like it's a nice thing, it's unexpected, even if it doesn't really amount to something. When your clients see that you're going that extra mile, that makes a big difference for a lot of them.
Yeah, well, I tell them when they come on and they sign up with us, I tell them, and these are the featured employers only. I say that
Right.
your jobs will also be socialized 5 days a week. We'll take a sampling, 3 to 4 jobs of what you put up on the feed that day, and we'll socialize them because that to do 3 jobs literally takes less than a minute.
How much more is it for them to be featured? Like if they're not featured versus featured, what's the
So
difference?
we did a feature that are employers who do annual subscriptions with us. Those are subscriptions. So we have like you can post either, one up, so you can post. We have a monthly package and an annual. So if you do an annual, we consider that featured.
Ah, okay. So when you're selling packages to the employers and they're thinking about signing up just for a month or 3 months or 6 months, it's like, hey, if you sign up for a year, you're also going to get this.
You're also going to get this. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Um, anybody finding it from the little bit of the discussion so far, it seems like LinkedIn is where the action's at. Um, anybody finding anything different? Like, no, LinkedIn's been terrible for us, or X has been awesome for us. Pardon me.
I I'm just going to butt in here because I would say I guess it depends who your audience is. So I
Oh,
know on Facebook there will, that does tend to be where nurses will be much more than LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Currently, these things change. I'm interested in the future of getting Gen Zs who might be entering the care sector, and maybe they're on TikTok. So those are the kinds of things when I fully get involved in this that I will want to be looking at. I like the difference here between what Mike is doing and what obviously Jobico Air is offering. And there's no reason why you shouldn't do both, I guess, because what Jobico can offer is highly targeted and budgeted performance. And I think they use AI to, put out details of jobs. Does it all for you, chooses the platforms that it feels is best for you, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point to make, Matt. And also, I would argue the other thing. I think Mike's solution is a good solution for the size of his job board. But really, if you had 50,000 roles that you were looking to post out, doing it manually like that is it's going to be too much effort. It's especially even for someone or a team of 5 6 people, copywriters and brand guidelines and making sure that you're in the marketing team and really that's too much work for you. But I think that we also can't underestimate like the ever-changing role of social media. I think like people think that Facebook is a platform just for all the people. Like and but what you need to really realize is that Facebook evolved out of Mark Zuckerberg being at university, building it for his mates at university. So really, like you can't underestimate the platforms change and the like what used to work isn't necessarily conducive to what will work in the future. You can see that just because a platform is doing well now doesn't mean it will be doing so in the future. TikTok might get banned. You don't, X is under all sorts of. You saw yesterday that 3 people resigned and everything's going a bit crazy. This is really a changing landscape. I thought when I was at university 6 years ago, I thought that Snapchat had died. And it was only when I came to Jobico that people were like, "Oh yeah, we use Snapchat as a channel for social media advertising." So it just because you don't see it personally doesn't mean that users aren't there, and doesn't mean you can't get to them. And I would just say it's really important to take that guesswork out of it.
Really good point. We are not the people that we are trying to attract, right? And pretty generally, like, the last I looked on our site, there aren't very many job postings for job board leaders. Um, and so just because I'm on Facebook way too much does not mean that our candidates are, or that our employers are, or even if they are, that might not be where they're looking for that kind of information. And I think that's why we see a much better response on LinkedIn. Um, the there's definitely also been like Flockity is an example of a company that does a lot of influencer marketing. Has anybody been doing that where you pay people with usually a pretty large or very engaged social media following to share your content? Has anybody tried that out?
No, I looked at it a couple of weeks ago because I think Chad and Cheese
Yep.
referred to it, and I looked at it and thought, God, that's a clever idea. But no, I haven't done anything.
Yeah. So from what I've seen from Flockity, that the cost per click is a lot higher than if you're buying that same traffic through other job boards. But you're going to reach a very different audience because the reality is most candidates are not on job boards unless they're pretty actively seeking. So like Matt, for your audience with nurses, they probably tend to be more passive than like our audience, students and recent grads. They tend to be more actively looking, changing jobs more often, etc. Um, so something to think about. Kasia, do you mind if I call you out? So Kasia's job board is for, well, you can explain it better than I can, but basically like for Japanese speaking, et cetera roles. Uh, are you using social? I'm just thinking like your audience is probably pretty different because of that.
Yes, so thanks for asking. I
Thanks.
run nihongojobs.com, which is focused on specifically US based roles that require Japanese and English language or cultural skills. And I do use social media in my automations. So every featured ad that gets posted, it automatically goes to my company LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, and Threads. Those last two are very new. And I don't really do anything on the others except for LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn. And what I do is every post that comes on from my company page, I then share to my audience with double like extra information that's in the job ad that may not have been promoted as well by the employer who was creating that job ad. So I pick out the things that I know my audience will want, whether it's remote or hybrid, relocation support is included, things like that, the perks. And I also use something called Banner Bear, which I just started using recently. It takes the information that I select, like the location, language level requirements, the title, of course, the company name and logo, and it puts it into a graphic so that gets also turned out with the social media posting. And I found that that's helping so much than before, where it was just text. So I do that quite frequently. My audience is on LinkedIn. I'm not active on the others, so I don't know. I probably could use it some more, but to be honest, LinkedIn is enough for me. And I find it to be very beneficial. Those are the people who are seriously looking for jobs. So unless it's something really cool like, manga or anime or something, those companies don't actually need my service because just them posting on their own company page garners so much attention. But for me, I do help with the other kinds of postings. So yeah, it's a good system I have set up.
Very cool. What was the software that you use that create the graphic? Bear, what was it?
Banner Bear.
Banner Bear?
Bannerbear.
And is it automated? Does it go and like
Yes.
grab all that information from the posting and kind of puts it together? And
Yes.
then that creates a graphic that you then upload.
Yep. And I'll
Oh, very
share in the
cool.
chat. You can see the most recent LinkedIn post. You can see what the graphic looks like. It's very simple. I could make it fancier, of course, but
Interesting. Yeah,
Kaz,
Matt.
Kazia, can I ask a question about tracking and how
yes.
you measure the performance of that?
I am not in that phase of my growth yet,
Okay.
but I do watch my analytics, and I've found that I've made a lot of recent changes. I've upgraded my job board website as well, and I'm starting to do more speaking engagements. So I can't really tell if it's because of the social media changes I made, but I'm slowly but surely plugging away. So I'm not to that point yet.
Yeah. Because that was the problem I had, one of the problems I had in the past, which was I was unable to see whether our social media efforts were really paying any dividends at all in terms of what brings us our money, which is applications.
Mm.
Um, and I suppose, I guess if I wanted to do, when I come to do this in the future, I would definitely want to have metrics available to me from the
Yeah.
get-go. So I'm going to have a little look at your,
It's one of the problems of any kind of branding campaign, right? It's
yeah,
like pretty much by definition, metrics are squishy. Like you can't really say on the one hand it's a branding campaign, and on the other hand, I got X dollars in sales from it. That's kind
mm,
of those
mm,
two things don't go together. Um, but one thing that I've done, like I don't know, probably like 3, 4, 5 months ago, I was kind of wondering, Matt, the same thing that you are. It's like, okay, I'm spending all this time, therefore money, and then also some money on software and whatever. If I'm just shouting into the wind, what's the point? I've got better things to do. I mean, I'd rather go walk my dog than just like waste time at work. But is it a waste? Uh, and so I asked our sales team if what they were thinking. Have they heard from customers? Have they heard from potential customers? Oh, I heard about you on this podcast or is reading this article or whatever. Because I felt like even if there was just a few cases where we landed some decent sized customers, that would be enough. And then the rest that I couldn't track, that's just bonus gravy. And turns out, yes, absolutely. That like I
yeah,
remember like one of the sales leads that we got, they told the salesperson, hey, I heard you on this podcast. They came to our site, they filled in a lead gen form that led to a demo, and that led to them signing up. And it was, I think they're like a $40,000 a year customer. So
great.
easily, like if that's the only thing we got, that was worth that time.
Yeah. I mean, I
And
think your activities, I'm not surprised because I think your activities, you're prodigious basically on
well, that's a
LinkedIn.
very nice way of putting it. I've heard other people say social media whore,
and
but
and
okay.
so it increases your profile and makes people
Yeah.
think, here's somebody that understands this marketplace. And but that's very much a B2B activity, isn't it, that you've gone for rather than a B2C.
Yeah, for me personally, definitely more on the B2B side. I think we could do a lot better on the B2C on the candidate side.
But I now wonder whether what you've learned from doing your B2B activities, can that be templated and copied somehow and flipped over for users?
Um, the podcasts are really, really helpful. The audio version of the couple of podcasts, the listenership is there and it's worth the time, but it's the video version on LinkedIn that's where all the action is. There was a podcast episode that I did a couple of weeks ago about merger and acquisition activity in the job board space, and about 5,000 people have viewed that. So how many of those then became customers, job board customers buying traffic from us, or publishers where we're buying traffic from them? I don't know.
Mm.
But if 5,000 people were interested enough to watch a, 15-minute video podcast about M&A activity, I gotta believe that some of those are potential customers, potential publishers, existing customers. And that's the other thing too, is that I think a lot of the social media activity, it reinforces our relationships with our current customers. It's a reminder. I remember years ago when I was in university, and I think Abraham Lincoln was president still, but one of my professors said that, and it's probably still true, that when you see ads on TV for new cars, it's not really targeted at people who are about to buy a car. It's targeted at people who just bought that car. It's sort of reinforcing that you made a good choice so that they then tell their friends, I just bought such and such a car and I'm really happy with it. It's more to sort of spur word of mouth, if you will. And I think that happens with candidates. If somebody is going to Kassia's site and has been there, 20 times over the last, 2 years and looking for a job, and then they see something on, LinkedIn, it might prompt them to tell their friend who's also looking for a job that has something to do with Japanese language, culture, whatever. It's like, oh, you should go there. Um, and that's really hard to track. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it.
Christian, do you mind if I ask you? So Christian is works for one of the bigger ad agencies. What are you seeing, at Job Target with like clients using social?
So it's an interesting point you bring up, Stephen. For us, we're really our customer base at the core is SMBs, and so there's less reliance, I would say, for the time being on social media and employer branding, though we do tend to consult quite heavily on it because it is becoming increasingly important to utilize it. So we have a media services arm that will work with customers on a day-to-day around leveraging some of those channels, but it's not, let's say, a part of the core services that we offer.
Do your clients look at LinkedIn as more of a job board or more as social, or is it like that? Like that's something else I kind of wanted to get into in this call. Is LinkedIn a job board? Is LinkedIn a social media site? Is it both?
I think it's both, but a lot of our customers do want to be on LinkedIn, whether it's organically or at a paid level, depending on the type of role. I think they still sort of have that stigma of white collar as the preference and the
Mhm.
main audience of LinkedIn versus the blue collar, right? But yes, uh, they tend to leverage it as much as they can, and that's one of the reasons that programmatic is so valuable to these SMBs is because oftentimes they're not even able to afford, a job slot, for instance, right, on LinkedIn. And so that's where we can really add some value.
Cool. Mike, it looks like you raised your hand.
Yeah, just one way that we track what we're doing on the social media post. I mean, the analytics are great, but I like to track the searches. How many people per week are searching us because they saw an ad? And that's readily available, like on LinkedIn. It'll tell you, your page was searched 150 times or 300 times this past week, and that gives you a good indication of what you're doing. So it's not necessarily the other analytics, but if people are searching for you, then you're really making an inroad.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a good indicator that you have a brand that's strong enough that people are searching for that.
Yep.
Um, Interesting. I just saw that Patrick shared his LinkedIn URL. Patrick recently joined College Recruiter. He's managing our relationships with like new job board customers, publishers, etc. Um, and thank you, Patrick, for doing that. I actually had meant to ask people to in the chat. We did this, I think, last time, and it was really nice. To just like share your LinkedIn URL so that people can connect with you. And I will do that now with mine there. So definitely send me a connection if we're not already connected. And um, folks do, yeah, everyone do the same. Thanks, Louise. Um, is any, maybe we can stay on the LinkedIn topic for a bit. Um, LinkedIn, definitely, there's a lot of different ways that you can partner with LinkedIn. Um, we've had a number of partnerships with them over the years, and some of it's on very much related to the job postings, some of it's related to content, in-person conferences, whatever. One of the things that we found LinkedIn brings is a fairly unusual combination of very high quantity and very high quality of candidate traffic. Anybody had successes with LinkedIn that they can share, whether it's posting content like articles, videos, postings, anything along those lines?
Yeah, I've found I think it's worth spending the time to post something that is slightly researched, has got depth. It's not just a comment or an opinion. That those always get the most comments. It reaches the most people. So that's what I know. I tend to post, I guess, quite infrequently, but when I do post, it's got some. Often it actually links to a blog. You know, I've spent some time researching something, or I've spoken to a group of people and I've written a blog about it, and I will use LinkedIn to sort of do a summarized version of my findings. So that's what I tend to do. I know other people do other things, like they might make sure they post something every day. I know a really good local consultant. She tends to post, at least every other day. It might be, I went for a swim this morning, and this is how this is why swimming is important for me. It works for her. That's what I find works for me is to do some research, write something, and then post it.
So Matt, you're basically sharing a blog article to LinkedIn,
I will,
and then
yeah,
to try to drive traffic to your blog article. And
No, I've given up
okay.
on that,
Oh,
actually. I find that I gave up on that being the mission. The mission is literally to share what I have learned. They don't need to go to the blog to find out more, really. And I think you need to I personally think you need to give up on that hope that doing those kind of posts is about driving traffic elsewhere. I do other things, and I'm about to launch a new idea. Well, I've been doing a new idea, and I guess in a few months' time I'll know how well it's worked. For clients, I say to them, look, we'll create some content for you. So this might be, I've got one coming up next week. It's a big private healthcare group in the UK. They have a load of hospitals in mental health care, and I'm going to be interviewing some of their nurses. Like we are here, I use Riverside, which is another sort of podcasting platform. It gives me a transcript of the conversation. I would turn that into a blog that I post on our job board, and it allows me to get video content, which I'll be posting to our Facebook, YouTube, posting it to LinkedIn as well. And so that's what I get from that is I'm asking those nurses, and I've done a Q&A with a podiatrist recently and a social worker. How do they get into their career? Talk about their career pathways. It's all very positive, what they like about their job. And importantly, what do you like about your employer? So that's like a win-win with my paying customers. And in that blog post that we publish on our site, it will link through to their jobs on our site. So it sort of ticks lots of boxes. It keeps us on social media. It's good to offer extra things to your clients. And that content on YouTube, for instance, I'll embed that within the blog article on our site. So that helps with our SEO performance too. So yeah, I'm doing those at the moment. So maybe in 6 months' time, I'll know how well that's worked out for us.
Are you charging more for that, or are you
No.
doing it kind of like how?
So it's bundled into if you sign up for X number of months and pay us X, if you are what we call a managed service client, it comes included.
So kind of like Mike's strategy of like where he has the annual customers, he's giving them extra.
Exactly.
I've heard that sales strategy described as a golden apple. Like we're not
Okay.
going to charge you for it. You cannot buy that separately, but if you buy this larger package, then we give you this nice add-on that's only available to those big. Thibaut, you looked like you wanted to jump in and say something, I'm sure much more intelligent than whatever I just said.
No, it's cool. I think it's a really good idea, Matt. And
Yeah.
but to be honest with you, it's something that is extremely expensive for now. Like the ROI, there might not be an ROI immediately, but that's fine. And that's the top of the funnel, employer branding. You don't build a brand overnight. It's this idea that people look at Matt and they say, oh, he's got a nice successful job board. I can go and do a job board. No, it's the brand building, it's the direct relationships with your customers. These things take time. And actually, it might not have any impact on the bottom line might not have any impact on driving performance, bottom of the funnel performance, but but one day when they're coming back to Matt and it's at the time of renewal and they think, actually, do I want to stay with nurses.com?
For sure.
You can then say, oh, we did all this content strategy together. We positioned your employer brand in this way. You're a friendly employer brand to work for, and
Yeah.
this it's not just about the tangible data, it's about the broader sense of the way that you position the brand.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I think it's not just, people get so het up on performance in this industry, and it's not always about that. It's about the holistic package.
Exactly. And my competitors are Indeed, number one, and then there's the three in the UK: Generalist, CV Library, Reed, Total Jobs. How do we differentiate our offering? That's as simple as that. So what Thibaut is saying, yes, that's in my relationship with my clients, they will see the differentiation is Matt does this for us, literally me. And then on the web and the internet generally, how is our brand seen as different from other job boards? Well, we do one-to-one conversations with the actual frontline workers. And I genuinely enjoy it as well. Well, there is that. I genuinely love chatting to people about their job. So that helps.
So it also charges your batteries.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
actually.
mean,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
people who see like my crap on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever too much, that's, I don't smoke. That's my smoke break.
Mm.
I'll be finishing something and I kind of want to like recharge my batteries or like transition from one project to another, and I'll jump over to LinkedIn and I might be there for 10 minutes or whatever, and then post something. And then I can kind of come back. So it gives me like a little bit of a mental break too. And I think that most of the time there's some value there. Um, um, Matt, with the videos, like what do you like about nursing for, XYZ hospital or whatever that you're doing? Did you say that these are going to be that you're also packaging these as podcasts, like
No, no,
podcast episodes?
no. The software is just like podcast type software.
They're,
But no,
they're
I'm planning on taking myself out of these videos. So
okay.
I think I'm going to try different things. But I'm thinking that the videos will be edited down segments of just them talking about their career without me being the one asking the questions. But I don't know. I'm open to trying different things. I'll see how it goes.
Okay. We're the podcast that we do, the audio only versions are hosted by a company called Work Defined, WRK Defined. Um, and I'm happy to connect anybody to them. It's just good karma. They host about 50 work related podcasts, payroll, benefits, recruitment, whatever. Some of them from employers, some of them from job boards, some of them from, ATS companies, payroll companies, whatever. So if anybody's got a work related podcast or are thinking of creating one, reach out to me and I'm happy to connect you. Um, I think, Matt, you have an opportunity there to take these interviews with these nurses and turn that into a podcast. Because especially like for the universities, um, that would be really interesting content for career service offices to share because there's such a difference, and I'm probably preaching to the choir, Matt, but there's such a difference between a nurse who works in, say, an ER versus a clinic versus pediatrics versus oncology. And I think a lot of people thinking about getting into nursing don't really know what it's like and don't really know what each of those different environments are like. But these personal stories, I think, would be really interesting. And I think that goes for just about any profession. You know, um, should I be I want to go into engineering, mechanical, electrical, civil. I want to travel and work abroad. Guatemala, Ecuador, Spain, to sort of hear some of these personal stories, I think would be really interesting for people. Even if they're not subscribed for years, they might be subscribed for months. And it's good branding.
And what makes a podcast as opposed to a video that is on YouTube?
So what Work Defined mostly is they also do some video podcasts, but it's audio only is mostly what they're doing. Um, and so people subscribe on Spotify, Apple, Google Play, Pandora, whatever. A lot of the podcasts are um 30, 40 minutes in length. So I think it's about the amount of time that the typical person might exercise. It's if you're going to go run on the treadmill, it's about that amount of time, or go for a long walk or something. I think quite frankly that's where that time comes from. And the ones that we do are usually 12 to 15 minutes. I wanted the content to be more snackable. But we also have one face that's candidate targeted. And I'm starting to experiment with making those longer, 30, 40 minutes, and to sort of see what that will do. Um, but the podcast that Work Defined is primarily focused on is audio. So like you could take those. Did you say you're not using Restream? You're going to be using
Riverside.
Riverside. Thank you. Um, a lot of people use Riverside just to record audio only. Like when you're recording the podcast, you can see your guest. It looks very much like this, and you can save it as an MP4 as a video file. You can also save it as an MP3 an audio file, and then you upload that, and then people can subscribe and listen to it on Spotify,
Hmm.
or wherever or whatever their choice is.
Well, that's got my
Um,
brain thinking. That's something for me to think about on the cycle home tonight.
Well, and if the cycle home is 30 to 40 minutes, then you can listen to
Yeah.
anybody having success with podcasts, targeted at whether it's candidates, employers, or other groups. I think it's an untapped market. Not completely, but
Hmm.
it's really easy to take that content. Um, And then I think Matt, you were saying a few minutes ago, you kind of repurpose. You can run kind of the same content in a lot of different ways. So you can share that to LinkedIn, you can share that to YouTube, you can share
Yeah.
that to the Spotify, etc. You can embed it into a blog article. Um,
Yeah.
they Restream, Riverside, those recording platforms will very often generate a transcript for you, and then you can take that and that kind of becomes your blog article.
Yeah.
Even if you write like a 3, 4, 5 paragraph summary and then you paste the transcript underneath it. And I think there's some SEO value for that.
Mm. Hey, brilliant. Guys, I've got to duck out. I've got an appointment with the
Yep.
esteemed Alex Tchaikovsky right now to talk about SEO and get my head into a massive spreadsheet of words.
Yeah.
So,
So talking about somebody who does LinkedIn very well.
yes, that's very
Yes.
true. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alex is awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. Good to see you. See
Thanks,
you in a
guys.
month.
Yeah. Take
Um,
care. All the best.
before we wrap up, is there anything that anybody, wanted to talk about that we have not yet talked about? Because we definitely still have time. Yeah, Joe, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just curious if first off, can everyone hear me well? Cool.
Good.
I'm wondering if anyone has given Reddit a try at all, dabbled and/or more than dabbled in anything related to Reddit.
Great question. I would love to know that also.
I did. They're just so restrictive. I mean, if you have one word in there that they don't like, they don't allow you to post, and so it wasn't worth it to me. It's very restrictive in what you could say, and you got to get into the exact right subreddit if you could find it, right? I mean, because there's so many of them, and then even there, it's kind of restrictive.
And
My
Jordan, I see you've got your hand raised, so hopefully you've got
Yes.
the silver bullet for us all.
Just something I was trying to contribute earlier, but I kind of missed the goal. But as far as people using Facebook and not getting any results, there certainly is a demographic dependent thing, because the audience that I've built for Construction Jobs Australia is predominantly from Facebook, and for using different groups and pages. Facebook allows you to geographically target your audience, and their algorithm is only bringing in candidates who are actually, for the candidate side of it, of course, who are in that area or interested in jobs in the area. And the network which I have is getting around 250,000 organic impressions per month, which is a lot. It's brand building. It's a recognized source for job seekers, but to actually translate or convert that into real money isn't that simple.
And Jordan,
But
did you say that that was organic or sponsored, that traffic? Wow.
organic impressions, and then that leads to around about 5,000 users a month from Facebook onto the jobs board platform itself. So primarily the main source of any traffic on Construction Jobs Australia is directly from Facebook.
Fierce, can you put that in the chat if you would? Facebook. Oh, Facebook.
Oh,
I get
Facebook.
it. I'm sorry.
Facebook,
I thought he
I
said
thought it was a
Fear
different
Spook
thing.
as
I'm
well.
sorry.
Facebook, yes. Sorry about
Facebook
the
and Fear
accent.
Spook is one and the same.
But no, it's like, is it just getting the point across? It is definitely demographic specific, which social media channels are going to be of use, and people users are using the social media. Job seekers are actively engaging, depending on the demographic of who you're trying to attract.
Yeah, Joe.
Uh, Jordan, thank you. That was very helpful.
Yeah.
So I guess just to put a pin in my last question, no one has really tried Reddit at all. Is that correct?
I've looked at it and but really haven't tried anything much.
Gotcha.
One thing I just keep seeing is kind of consistent with what Mike said, is that you have to be very careful about what subreddit you're in and the content that you share and the words that you use. If it comes across as pitchy, then the moderators are likely to just kick you out and ban you.
Good. Well,
But I really feel like that's okay, right? I mean,
yeah,
you gotta stay within those
yeah.
guardrails.
It's it's
And
it's it's almost refreshing, to be quite honest.
yeah, good. That's a good way of putting it. I mean, I think that there's a lot of the same upsides as what you'd have on LinkedIn, like really high quantity, really high quality. But you got to play by their rules. It's their platform.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're at time. Thank you everybody so much. This has been really educational and enjoyable for me, hopefully for everybody else as well. I'll send out invites for a month from today, second Thursday of the month. I think it is August 14th at the, as they say, same bat time, same bat channel. Oh, Fatima, you have your hand up?
Oh yes, I wanted to thank you. It was really insightful, all of the things you shared. Well, I'm from, we work remotely. Just to give you a quick presentation, and I think all of what you mentioned is really amazing. It's really helpful to see what other job boards are doing and what's like really engaging. And nothing, I just wanted to thank you for this space.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Cheers, everybody. Have a good
Bye.
rest of
Thank you,
July.
Stephen.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye, ciao.